Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Manya.
Good
How are
afternoon,
you
sir.
today?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Uh, Manya, I think we're meeting for the second time.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Manya, you belong to Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. Now, what is the issues, challenges before Madhya Pradesh as on date? What are different challenges? Madhya Pradesh has done a lot of progress if we see in the last decade, but still some challenges remain. What are the challenges in your opinion?
So the first challenge that I can that comes to my mind is in the economic sphere. Sir, I believe Madhya Pradesh is over dependent upon its agriculture, and being an agrarian economy, we are in the times of climate change. So the inevitability of climate change will affect the agricultural production. So we need to diversify our economy and increase the share of manufacturing and the services sector, so that there is more resilience of the economy. So second is in terms of the social development indicators. While Madhya Pradesh has made a considerable improvement in the economic sphere, like it has come a long way from being a Bimaru state to the 10th largest state by GSDP. In the social indicators, sir, for example, IMR, MMR, in those fronts, it is lacking. It is lagging even behind Chhattisgarh in some aspects. So that is one area which I believe needs more focus for ensuring inclusive economic development. And the third is the issue of unemployment in Madhya Pradesh, because Madhya Pradesh is a very young state. Its average age is about 28 years. But due to the lack of local employment opportunities, a lot of youth from Madhya Pradesh is going to the cities like Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, because there is lack of an engine growth. Like Bhopal and Indore are there, but still they do lack that culture of the startup culture or the industrial sector there. So because of it, the purchasing power in Madhya Pradesh or the economic demand, the domestic demand of the state, that is at a stagnant rate. So, sir, these three areas I believe have to be considered.
Okay. Uh, Manya, recently ISRO has been in news, and it had a number of achievements to its credit. Can you just enumerate some of the recent achievements of ISRO and their importance for India's development?
So the recent one is the launch of the Aditya L1 program, which is the first solar observatory by India to Sun, sir. And the second one is the Chandrayaan 3 mission and the successful landing on the south pole of the moon. These two are the very prominent feats of ISRO, and so their contribution to India's development is in the sphere of research and development. Being a young demography, India is venturing into the spaces which were not realized so far. It is being counted as one of the top nations to the lines of Russia and USA, because despite being a country where still poverty is an issue and there are other issues as well, it is reaping a lot of ahead in the space technology, which brings a lot of confidence in the mind of common people that yes, we can also achieve such remarkable achievement in the space technology and the other developing technology. And sir, also the fact that now it is an era of space weaponization, and even in the defense sector we need to have space assets. So in those terms also, having a good space program will help India achieve the strategic autonomy.
Manya, one of your major towns, that is Indore, has been winning uh, award for the Swachhata cleanliness for a number of years now. Why that is not happening in cities? Whether it is, say, Gwalior or what are the factors? Or you take, for example, Delhi or take any metropolis. Why same level of cleanliness cannot be achieved as it has been done in Indore? What are the special things about Indore? What is happening?
So the primary factor that comes into my mind is that in the psyche of the local people, now it has become an issue of prestige and pride. The local people are so aware of this fact. They take pride in being the cleanest city for 7 times consecutively. So it has become a behavioral change in them. While in other cities, it is an issue which comes forward for some time when the recent indexes are released and then it takes the back seat. But for Indore, in the minds of the localites, it has changed their behavior patterns. So, second is that Indore has worked on all fronts. For example, in the waste collection, it has a very organized sector, whereas in other states, the waste collection is still very informal, largely, and in the unorganized sector. And the third is that Indore is working on the waste to wealth aspect very well. It is investing whatever waste is collected, it is recycling it properly, and it is generating revenues out of it and reinvesting that back into more cleanliness. So it creates a very virtuous cycle of prosperity and cleanliness alike.
Recently, British Conau's judgment has come from Supreme. Supreme Court has emphasized on certain important aspect of law. Can you just throw some light on that?
Sir, the Supreme Court has said that the jurisdiction of Gujarat court didn't lie to grant remission to the convicts because it was the Maharashtra government which was supposed to grant this remission because the court was because the case was being handled by the Maharashtra government after it was transferred on the allegations that she was facing some threats. So that is one where Supreme Court has said that no government should overstep its jurisdiction. And so secondly, it has said that all such events which are crimes against women, they leave a very long lasting impact on the psyche of common people, on the local population. So if remission is good in its own way, but if we remit individuals with such heinous acts, somehow it will lower down the belief on the judicial system for the larger population.
They emphasized on rule of law.
Yes, sir, on the rule of
Rule
law.
of law. That is very important for you to remember.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Uh, so now over to Dr. Vijay Kumar.
Thank you, sir.
Manya, if you take a set of similarly placed states, what will be the status of women development in Madhya Pradesh vis-a-vis those states?
Sir, northern states, sir, with which state should I
I
compare?
said similarly placed states.
Um, sir, may I please take a moment to think?
Yeah, take your time.
Sir, Madhya Pradesh is improving on its indicators for women. For example, it has improved on the sex ratio, which is about 970 now. In terms of female literacy, it has come a long way to 65%. In the census 2011, it was about 59%. But sir, one factor where it is lagging is in the employment of women. I am unable to recall the exact data, but the unemployment status in women in Madhya Pradesh is very high, sir.
Okay, you just mentioned that IMR and MMR issue. What do you think are the factors which are affecting this, the improvement in IMR and MMR?
So first is the level of nutritional inputs which are given to new mothers. That is one. There is a general level of poverty which is about 20%. So due to which the nutritional requirements are not fulfilled. So second is the issue of child marriages. About 23% of marriages in Madhya Pradesh are child marriages. So the health status of young girls who deliver babies, that is affecting them. And the third is the issue of institutional deliveries. Though it is rising, but still it is not to a level where the postnatal care can be done for mothers and the new born babies.
And why is institutional delivery not sufficient enough?
Sir, some of the areas are like the tribal areas. In those areas, the connectivity is an issue. And so, secondly, the other issue is the notion of having midwives culture. So, sir, that are the two issues.
Okay, you hit the nail. Uh, What is your assessment about the future of one nation, one vote thinking?
Sir, the proponents argue that this will cut down the election expenditure, which is quite high in India. And secondly, it will also curtail the constant election mode that is there in country, which sometimes leads to issues of development as during the imposition of model code of conduct, the developmental works cannot be done. And sir, a lot of administrative machinery and the officials are employed during the election season. But sir, the issue that rises with one nation, one vote aspect is that the regional issues will be sidelined and the national issues will overtake upon them, and the regional parties will lose out on competition front. But sir, I believe that if the voters are educated properly, if there is proper voter awareness program, like whatever we are saving on the election expenditure, if we are utilizing those money on voter awareness and making them realize how regional issues are different from national issues, what are the localite issues, then it is a very good approach, sir, in the future.
Okay, my final question. Comment on the statement which I am making, that the tourism potential of Madhya Pradesh has not been tapped. To quote an example, Bandhavgarh does not get as many foreigners as Jim Corbett gets.
Yes, sir. Sir, I agree with your statement, and tourism is one sector which I will also like to work in if given a chance. Sir, it is primarily because Madhya Pradesh is lacking on the infrastructural front. There are only two international airports in Madhya Pradesh, because of which a lot of foreign tourists cannot reach very comfortably or conveniently. And the other three domestic also, out of them, one is the other three are unoperational, and the three domestic ones also they have very small capabilities. So second is the issue of branding. Jim Corbett has branded itself, and the use of social media influencers and the other popular celebrities, they are filming in those parks, national parks. There are movies made on that, so that catches the mind of the tourists. So sir, these two aspects, if Madhya Pradesh works on the branding front and also on the infrastructural front, then it can really tap out its potential in the tourism.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Manya, right? So you love to watch Hindi web series.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Right. So which one have you watched?
So recently I rewatched my favorite show, which was the second season of Panchayat.
Okay, so you love Panchayat. Yeah, but the second season of Panchayat, the last, it's like very heartbreaking, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, but I think that is one theme in that show. The first season also had an anti-climax. We were imagining that he will clear the CAT exam, but he didn't. So, I think anti-climax is a constant theme in that show.
Okay, right. Uh, you're a student of commerce who has taken sociology.
Yes, sir.
How this change?
So when I started studying for general studies, the major topics that I really liked and it really catch my interest were related to social issues, issues related to women, issues related to transgenders. It really caught my attention. So I started looking for the optional subjects which are available. Then I went through the syllabus of sociology. So I felt that it is one subject that will really help me.
Anya, no problem there. I was saying that you mentioned social issues, right? So the various social issues which are still being discussed in courts, etc. There is one very sensitive issue of marital rape. What is your opinion on that, and how we can somehow balance out law and culture in this regard?
Sir, in my opinion, any rape is rape, and just discriminating between women who has been raped by a stranger and who has been raped by her husband is denying them the right of equality. But, sir, keeping in mind the cultural sensitivity of the family and the marital relationship that is celebrated in India, and it is a very pure and pious relationship that is there. But we cannot discount the number of cases that happen and are registered. We can make sure that there are certain checks and balances to check if there is any false cases which are registered against the husbands. But just because it can be misused, we cannot deny the right of so many women who face this issue every day and they are living with the perpetrator for their lives. So I believe it must be criminalized. There must be more awareness this generation, there must be more sex education given to both men and women so that they can understand and it remains between the couple how to have a very healthy life in all aspects.
Right. There's a lot of misuse of these laws as well, right? So look, there's a tendency for a lot of people to say that the Dowry Act has been misused or has been weaponized, right? Lawyers themselves have weaponized it, right? So if we make another law for marital rape, it would be misused again for the same purposes. So how do we balance this out? The question still remains. We are in a who will bell the cat situation.
Sir, firstly, I believe that there has to be timely justice, and once that justice is done, we need to catch hold of the people who are misusing them. We have to find them if they have filed the wrong case, because the issue is that the trial takes so long that by the end of it, the husband says, "Okay, I'm confessing to whatever you are saying, and let us settle it out of the court. I'm harassed by whatever you're doing," even though he is not at fault. So, first is the issue of timely justice so that we know who is at fault, whether it is the woman or the man. Once we know that if it is a false case, then we have to put heavy penalties on the women as well as a lawyer so that it is curtailed or nipped in the bud itself. But sir, the fact that it can be misutilized should not be one reason why we should not have gender sensitive laws. But one
Exactly.
thing, yes sir.
We definitely, you're right about that. I'm just thinking do you have a solution for this problem that everybody is facing these days, right? Yes. Recently we heard of a news, a very shocking piece of news that a mother killed her own son, 4-year-old son, and she is well off. She's a CEO of a startup which is doing well, right? How do you see this from the terms of a student of sociology?
So first and foremost, I believe this case is true lack of emotional intelligence. The woman is very intelligent. She is the founder of one AI company, but there is lack of emotional intelligence. And also the reason that she is giving is that she did not want her husband to meet her son. So in that aspect, yes, there is a preconceived notion that a mother is the best take care of the child. But when the court is handling over the custody, they have to look at the case on like the case from a case to case basis, whether the mental condition of the woman is right, whether she is allowing the visitation rights to the husband. If there are allegations by the husband that the woman is not allowing him to meet his son, then penalties must be placed on the woman or the family of the male. He can keep the child for some time so that he can also form a bond with the child. It has to be done, it has to be solved at a broader social level and just not from the point of view of laws and legalities.
Okay. Uh, Now the question obviously is right. What other hobbies do you have?
So listening to slow and soothing songs while going for evening
So
walks.
who's your favorite singer?
Sir, Arijit Singh, Atif Aslam, all of them.
Okay. What about old, KL Sehgal and the others, Kishore Kumar, Mohammad Rafi?
Sir,
Because
actually,
they
I
were good
am.
at slow songs, right?
Yes, sir, definitely. That is one genre that I am venturing into recently. Now I am listening to it. I'm more drawing towards them also, sir.
Okay. Right. Do you sing as well? Right. Are you
Uh,
doing?
no, sir, I just listen to them.
uh,
Right. Hello, Manya.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Now, Manya, you've said that web series is something that is of critical interest. You mentioned your favorite web series as well. Now, when we are looking at the kind of shows on the OTT, they've come a long way from the kind of shows that, say, our parents watch, right? What do you think are the changes or the various factors that maybe you can look at which have led to these changes in the kind, the nature, the variety of shows that the generation is viewing versus the kind of, say, K dramas, etc., that used to take place before?
Um, Ma'am, first is that OTT is allowing the creators to explore into themes which were unventured now, because there is a audience for those shows now, because OTT is giving a platform to regional mediums. They are giving the platform to the themes which were not really discussed until now. So the economic front, they are making revenues, so now they are like incentivized to make such shows. That is one. And one second is that OTT is a personalized view of watching these shows. So there is a sense of freedom that you can choose to watch what kind of shows you want to really watch. While the earlier shows, they catered to largely the family audiences. So there were themes which could not be shown at, say, a time of the family. Like there were some regulations also that this period of time you cannot show this kind of shows or something like that. But now there is a greater freedom. There is a freedom of choice. Almost every person has a phone, so four members in a family are seeing different shows on their phones. So those two reasons are there which have catered to a very mass shift towards the OTT shows and the changing nature.
Do you think as a society also we've changed or become more open to certain themes that say maybe we weren't open to during the preceding decade?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Because now we are into a phase where there is a globalization of even the kind of themes that we used to watch. The entertainment is becoming globalized. We are having shows which were probably made in US or UK. They are streamed in India. There are the newer generation is exploring all these sitcoms and the other varieties. They are more open. They are more acceptable to these kind of shows. While the earlier generation, if there were such shows, they were boycotted and they were used to. For example, I remember there was one show which revolved around this issue of marital rape also, but I think it was closed in 1 month or so because there were a lot of protest. But now we have web series which are touching these untouched shows, untouched themes. For example, marital rape. For example, the intercaste marriages. For example, women entrepreneurship. So these are very interesting, and because these are very short duration shows, the storyline does not become very boring over time, or just for the sake of extending the show or being the largest running show, they are not adding very hard to believe facts or hard to believe storylines.
Now, you've talked about the idea of protests of certain themes being hard to digest by a certain section of audience. That problem continues even today, right? At the same time, there's also the issue of regulation of OTT, right? What are certain laws or rules that are prevalent in India right now that help in the regulation of OTT? Do you think those are enough? And if there are certain changes to be brought about, to maintain both the freedom of expression while ensuring certain rules, certain regulations, a certain kind of morality is adhered to, how do we ensure the same?
Ma'am, the current model of regulation is a co-regulatory software regulation, and there is a three-tier mechanism to regulate these shows. The first level is the self-regulation by the platforms themselves. Second is the industry-led regulations, and the third is the oversight mechanism by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Under the recent IT rules, the platforms have been made liable for the kind of content they're streaming on the platforms. If there are any objections on the grounds of nudity or violence or not being age appropriate, if there is a complaint made, the nodal officer has to make sure that that content is taken down in 24 hours and some kind of thing is done. For example, in the recent controversy about a show or a movie Annapurni, there was a protest. So they have taken it into account. They have apologized also, and they have said that we will trim the parts which are objectionable to you, because we don't intend to hurt. That is not the theme of the show, or that is not the objective of the show. If we have hurt you, then we will trim out those parts. And ma'am, I believe that the co-regulatory model, where there are representatives of government, there are representatives of the industry, and the makers of the show. If all three of them come at the same platform and discuss and make out a way, then I believe it will be good, because many times I have seen that there
Right.
are protests.
Let's move on, Manya. Now, you're from Madhya Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh has been progressing on some really great indicators in recent times. At the same time, another phenomena that we are witnessing across the country, there's been the rise of startups. And increasingly over the years, a lot of tier 2 cities have also seen the blooming of startups, and Madhya Pradesh and a lot of cities of Madhya Pradesh, particularly if you look at Indore, have been home to some of India's most successful startups as well. Right? What do you think has led to this culture of transformation, and how more can the government promote the same?
Ma'am, the culture has evolved because largely in Indore there have been family businesses. So that business acumen comes into the mind of the young people from the fact that they have been into businesses, but now they are venturing out of the conventional family business and trying out new startups because we are in the phase of demographic dividend. There is a strong domestic demand. They are seeing consumers. For example, there is a cafe in almost all localities. Even in Gwalior, there are so many cafes, and there are and the other startups also. So that is one thing. And ma'am, in terms of the government, what government can do is to nurture these startups in the initial time and then let them grow. I mean to say, having ease of doing business, having lesser formalities, and making sure that because the even the objective of government is that you should not seek employment but rather give employment. So in that line of thought, if the government is giving them certain tax breaks in the initial years, if it is providing them some publicity kind of thing, so I believe that way they will really grow.
Okay. Thank you, Manya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anya, I understand that in 22 also you appeared in interview.
Yes, sir.
How much were your marks?
So 179.
179. Okay, Manya, let me tell you, you are a very good candidate and you should
Thank
be
you,
able
sir.
to make it. And your answers were crisp, to the point. And when is your interview? Has date come?
Yes, sir. 19th of Jan, this week only, Friday.
This week only. So you have hardly any time. So I will desist from making any large advice, because the only thing I will tell you, just read the newspapers for 4 or 5 days carefully, because some incidents might happen and which may be, you may be asked some question on that. Otherwise, I think you are well prepared, and be your normal self. Don't be, you know, be at ease, and I'm
Yes,
sure
sir.
you will do well. You will do well.
Thank you, sir.
Right. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Manya, see, your today's performance was a significant improvement over last performance. You remember?
Yes, sir.
It is a significant improvement. Since you are too close to the actual interview, just one bit of advice from me. When we are discussing about IMR and MMR, you should have brought the sociological attributes. You know, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, much better IMR, MMR. Here less. Bring in the sociological attribute, because that is a tribal population. It is a non-tribal.
Yes,
If you
sir.
had brought that issue, you would have supplemented your answer, because your institutional delivery is much lesser in Chhattisgarh compared to
Chhattisgarh.
you. Okay, so
Yes,
bring in
sir.
that element. Keep it
Okay,
that in
sir.
mind. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so Manya, lovely conversational skills, right?
Thank you,
So
sir.
that's something that, yeah, that will go in your favor in the interview, definitely, right? The clothes are decided, the
Yes,
sari
sir.
color, the everything, right? So
Yes,
just
sir.
be a little comfortable wearing it. It's cold in Delhi, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
right, try to obviously practice it a bit so that you're comfortable that day. You can even try to, wear a sari a day before, right?
Okay, sir.
Just to be comfortable. Be very comfortable in a sari. That's all, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a little cold inside UPSC rooms, right? Especially
Yes,
when
sir.
the main room is really cold.
So
Right?
mine is in the morning slot only, so
Yeah,
it's going to be even colder.
exactly, right? So the main room is a little colder. You remember it last year you would have gone there, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
that is something. So acclimatize yourself. All right. Other than that, I think hopefully we get 200 this year.
So I hope.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Just do your best.
Thank you, sir.
Most of it has been conveyed. Just keep reading, brush up on a couple of things, issues, have those pointers ready, and you're good to go, Manya.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you,
Best
ma'am.
of luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the best.
Okay, and we'll
Okay,
Thank you.
Mani. All the best.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you.